Hello, everyone. It is just about 1 o'clock here on the East Coast. Thank you for joining us here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Lana Zach.
And I'm Lindsay Reiser. Thanks for being with us. Jury deliberations are back underway. The so-called hush money trial involving former President Donald Trump.
Members of the jury listened to a reread of the judge's instructions, as well as parts of David Pecker and Michael Cohen's testimony earlier today.
We have team coverage of the trial. CBS News national correspondent Errol Barnett is following the trial from the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. And CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson is with us to provide analysis of what's happening both in the courtroom and the jury room.
All right. So, Errol, let's start off with you. Talk to us about what the atmosphere in the courtroom was like this morning. What was Trump's demeanor like?
Well, Lindsay and Lana, great to see you both and to be connected on screen with Jessica once again. Well, inside the courthouse, the mood is quite sober and serious as the jury continues their deliberation and ultimately deciding the fate of former President Donald Trump as he faces these felony counts and these criminal charges. But what was noteworthy as the judge was rereading some of the instructions to them, things like how Michael Cohen as an accomplice, you can't convict based on his testimony alone unless it's corroborated by others, and how they can infer information based on facts that are available. Some of them were jotting down notes, handwritten notes, because once again, they can't take the physical judge's instructions back into the jury deliberation room with them. But when it came to testimony, specifically that of David Pecker, who is a longtime ally of Trump, who said he remains a friend of his and a mentor and someone he looks up to, who helped concoct the scheme in 2015 at Trump Tower to suppress negative stories along with Cohen and Trump ahead of Trump's presidential effort the first time around, you did see a number of jurors jotting down notes very quickly. Donald Trump also in the room looking at each one of them. And as far as our reporters can tell, none of the jurors were interested in looking back at Trump himself. Trump is joined by his son Eric today, and before the judge came back and the jury came in with those instructions, he was seen engaging with his son, asking him a few questions and talking back and forth as well. And so it's just one of those things that you don't get to see because there are no cameras inside, but you have Donald Trump, a former president, forced to be in that courthouse behind me because he's the defendant as part of this criminal trial, and 12 New Yorkers, 12 jurors deciding his fate in real time. So definitely, certainly a serious mood inside the courthouse.
Jessica, what do you gather from what the jury has requested so far? Can we glean anything, or should we kind of be careful as to say whether anything leans more in the defense or prosecution's favor?
I think we should be really careful. Now, I will say if we really want to read the tea leaves, and I know everybody really wants us to read the tea leaves, I suspect that these questions are better for the prosecution in the sense that they're really digging into the theory of the prosecution's case. And if they bought the defense here, which is there's just nothing to see, there are no false business records. Even if there were false business records, the former president isn't in any way connected to them. Then I don't think you get these types of questions. Now, we could have a jury divided. We could have some of the jurors saying, no, I'm really seeing the prosecution's point here. Let's just ask the judge for this additional testimony. But the testimony, as Errol and I have discussed, that they're asking for, I think it really goes to the heart of the prosecution's theory that you can connect, you can tether this former president to the alleged criminal behavior. And that's what they're really checking on right now. Now, in terms of the jury instructions, the one thing we know for sure is they're taking their job seriously. They don't get those jury instructions back in the jury room, as Errol has explained. And so they're really trying to make sure that they're not making a decision just based on their gut. They're looking at specifically what they were told that they have to do.
Errol, I want to ask about how some of the sausage is made. What are the logistics of deliberation? What time do they start? When do they get lunch? Do they break for lunch? Do they deliberate during lunch? When do they end?
Sure. What's on the lunch menu? Well, typically now at this phase during deliberations, it should begin at each morning around 9:30. This morning we had a lot of the jury instructions being reread in testimony, so it was about another hour before they got back into the room. A lunch break is actually something they usually work through. So lunch will be brought to them. Typically the lunch hours, the lunch breaks for court staff is around between 1 and 2 p.m. And the judge has made clear that while typically during court proceedings they would wrap at approximately 4:30 p.m. Eastern, for this phase the judge has been prepared to let them deliberate until at least 6 p.m. each night. And so what's interesting is you start to think about the psychology of this. I've covered some trials previously, whereas the judge cannot tell the jury to hurry up and decide, but they can encourage by saying, we'll get you Uber rides home if you stay in until 8 p.m. And for some reason, historically speaking, nothing motivates like a Friday deadline, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing motivates like the weekend. And so jurors do typically bring back verdicts during Friday afternoons. And so today we can expect maybe we'll hear a bell, perhaps I'll have more questions. We'll get a little bit of a heads up when that's the case, but they can deliberate today until 6, and they would be expected to be back in place at 9:30 tomorrow morning. I don't know exactly what's on the lunch menu, though. I'd have to kind of connect with my sources inside and see if we can get you more details on that.
Sure, we have lots of pressing questions. Maybe that isn't the most pressing among them, but if you do have the information, let us know, Errol. In the meantime, Jessica, let's talk about the fact that this is a New York State court. How does conviction and sentencing in New York State differ from, say, a federal court?
Well, the difference typically is that if you are convicted and sentenced in a federal court, you're facing a crime that has harsher penalties. Now, there are a lot of similarities in the sense that judges have a lot of discretion. Federal judges, for reasons involving a very old Supreme Court case, have more discretion. But what we're looking at in this particular case is a state court judge who can say anything from no jail time whatsoever to some probation to you will be serving time in prison. Now, not years and years. This is a low-level felony. And I think what people really want to know with respect to this sentencing question is, what could happen immediately? Mm-hmm. And I would say a couple things, which is one, don't expect Trump to be, if he's convicted, behind bars at the end of the week. You typically postpone sentencing for about 60 to 90 days. The other is this is a first-time offense, a nonviolent felony. And I think it is entirely possible that you would see a judge give probation. And then the question becomes, do you suspend a sentence while an appeal is pending? So there's a lot of open questions here. I know everybody hates this, but lots of forks in the road if there is a conviction.
All right, Jessica and Errol will continue checking in with you as developments occur throughout the day. Thank you both.